Good morning and welcome back to my channel. I am Lourdes Ramirez Wright and I come to you from Mississippi, and I typically speak about CPTSD, and lately I've been putting out some videos on narcissism. The reason why I put out videos on narcissism is because narcissism, as a mental illness that it is a personality disorder which is developed by kids who grow up in very dysfunctional, toxic, and abusive homes. And so it sort of goes hand in hand with CPTSD. When you have parents who are abusive, highly abusive, those kids are going to grow up with some problems, and that is inevitable because we as humans, we're not designed or manufactured, if you will. We're not designed or manufactured to sustain prolonged abuse. Our system, our mind, our bodies cannot take it without some form of ramification. That ramification comes in the form of CPTSD, narcissism, borderline personality, psychosis, bipolar, whatever. But something is going to happen to these kids when they grow up. And that's why you notice that I cover narcissism a lot in my videos, but also some other forms of mental illness, because these kids will grow up with all sorts of problems. I am not saying that they are life sentences. You have to find ways to get rid of symptoms that are going to hold you back or are turning you into somebody that you know you are not. So you do have to watch out for those symptoms. And in my case, I think that what helped me so much to get out of that funk, if you will, of that CPTSD, is that while many survivors of abuse turn to alcohol, illegal drugs, and other things of that nature, I turned to fitness. Believe it or not, I always say that fitness saved my life, because you never know. You start experimenting with things to get out of depression or a very dark place in your life, and before you know it, you are abusing substances, or you have become promiscuous, or you have been self-sabotaging somehow. That's something which I never did. I never self-sabotaged, and I've never until today ever used any illegal drugs, and I was never a drinker. I'm not a heavy drinker. I'm not into alcohol. And so those things helped me out because I really involved myself into fitness and into reading books. And if you think about it, fitness and reading are two very good things, aren't they? So with that knowing, I really was helping myself in a big way, and I was finally able to shake those symptoms of CPTSD. When it comes to narcissism, however, narcissism does not have a very good prognosis, and one thing that is very different from CPTSD survivors is that when it comes to narcissists, they do not seek medical help. And that's a huge problem. With survivors of CPTSD, such as I was years ago, the first thing you want to do is find out what's happening. Why are you feeling the way you are? Why are you doing the things you are? And so you seek professional help yourself. And that is a very smart thing to do, and it's very human. We want to know what's going on, how to improve, what exactly is happening here. Whereas with narcissists, they are a very rare bunch in that because of their grandiose and delusional ideas, they never see themselves as being broken, defective, or damaged. So one thing that you can say about narcissists is that they 99.9% of the time, they are not going to end up seeing a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a therapist, because they live in this delusional world that there's nothing wrong with them, and they cannot really fix something they don't think is broken. So they typically they do not seek help. For those who do seek help, you will read about this and you will learn about it. They end up telling the professional, the therapist, the psychiatrist, the psychologist, what to do. So for those very, very few, minute number of narcissists who do end up seeking professional help, they actually get worse, because when they get there, according to professionals, they are not there to be helped or to listen, but they want to argue and they want to engage into this verbal fight with the professional, and they end up leaving huffy and puffy, angry at the professional. They learn nothing, and they told the professional the way they should be conducting their practice. So when it comes to narcissism and CPTSD, they do go together because they are both shame-based. They are survivors of abuse, of toxic environments, and they were raised with a very poor self-esteem. They were abused and they were neglected. And these kids grow up to have to repair the damage that was done onto them by their typically parents or caregivers. And so with CPTSD, you endure so much physical abuse that you internalize. So you begin to get these panic attacks and these chronic pains, chronic stress disorders, anxiety disorders. You begin to have insomnia or nightmares, flashbacks, stomach distress, skin conditions such as eczema, psoriasis, etc. Whereas with a narcissist, they externalize, right? So now everything is on the outside, and they really try to create this image of, well, it's a fake image, it's a public persona, because they're so ashamed of everything they've gone through, everything they've experienced, that they must create a public persona which they feel will be more accepted to the public. Without that public persona, they fall apart. They really need to sustain and maintain that illusion, because that is the only way they feel they will be accepted and they will have friends. I hope you have been able to check out the books that I have on Amazon. I have a new one, Cone of Silence, which came out less than 3 months ago and now is available on paperback. So if you want to find the rest of my work, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook under Fitness for CPTSD. And don't forget to go to Amazon and check out my books. For the most part, readers do not leave reviews. Just remember that reviews help others find the material. So I hope you have a great rest of the weekend. And remember, the world is a better place because you are in it.